A wealthy businessman was on the verge of putting his signature on a deal that could cost him everything, when a humble janitor leaned in and whispered something that changed everything. What happened next left everyone in shock. Before we dive in, tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. And when you reach the end, don't forget to score this story from 0 to 10. David Miller sat at the conference table, moments away from finalizing the most important merger of his career. Sterling Corporation had promised to elevate his company beyond imagination. Billions were on the line. His focus was absolute, the pen ready in his hand, until the conference room door creaked open. Anna, one of the cleaning staff, stepped in quietly, pushing her cart. "Apologies, I'll just take the trash out quickly," she murmured with respect. No one in the room paid her much attention. They were already celebrating their victory too soon. She reached the bin near David's chair, crouched to adjust the bag, and leaned close enough for only him to hear. Her whisper was so faint it barely carried. "Don't sign. It's a trap." David froze. His hand stopped just above the paper. The pen slipped from his grip and rolled onto the polished wooden surface. "What?" he muttered, bewildered. Anna stood up as if nothing had happened, her face calm but her eyes carrying weight. Without breaking the act, she lifted the trash can and pushed her cart toward the exit. But David's eyes stayed locked on her. "David!" Leandro, his trusted partner and longtime friend, tilted his head with a sly smile. "Is everything all right, Mr. Miller?" Javier, seated across the table, leaned forward. "Shall we proceed? Are you ready to sign?" David's throat tightened. The contract still sat untouched, the folder open for everyone to see. His eyes flicked between Leandro, Javier, and finally to the doorway where Anna was slipping out. Something felt disturbingly wrong. "I need 5 minutes," David blurted, rising abruptly. 5 minutes, Leandro repeated, tone light but his eyes narrowing with suspicion. "Just a quick matter," David answered sharply, moving toward the door. "Mr. Miller, everything has been checked." "Nothing more needs adjusting," Javier pressed, irritation creeping into his voice. 5 minutes, David repeated firmly, shutting the discussion with his tone. Without waiting for further pushback, he walked out and pulled the door shut behind him. Anna was already halfway down the hall, cart rattling softly. Hearing his hurried steps, she froze. "You," David said, pointing at her, his voice low but commanding. "Come with me. Now." She hesitated, caught off guard, then gave a slight nod. Together they walked in silence until they reached a small break room. David entered first, Anna close behind. He closed the door firmly, his eyes sharp with intensity. "Talk," he ordered, arms crossed, gaze fixed on her. "And make me believe you're not out of your mind for stopping me." Anna stood still, gripping the trash bag in her hands. David listened intently, his hand resting on the table. "I know how this might sound," Anna began, her voice slightly trembling before she steadied it, "but I overheard things no one else did. They're setting you up." "Who?" David asked sharply. "Sterling and your partner, Leandro," she replied. Her tone wavered for a moment, then grew firm. "They're using the contract to offload hidden debts and manipulate your company. If you sign, you'll hand everything away." David stared at her for a long beat. Part of him wanted to laugh it off. Another part shivered at the thought. "What's your name?" "Anna." "How long have you been here?" 8 months, night shift." "All right, Anna." He stepped closer, his eyes fixed on hers. "Listen carefully. If this is a lie, some baseless conspiracy, or an attempt to grab attention, you're fired immediately." Anna bit her lip but kept her gaze steady. "I understand. And I accept that. But if I stay quiet and you lose everything, I'd never forgive myself." David turned toward the glass wall and studied his reflection. Chicago stretched endlessly beneath him, yet his world had just fractured. This woman had nothing to gain and everything to risk. And yet, here she stood. "Do you have proof?" he asked, not taking his eyes off his reflection. "I do. Photos, records, screenshots. I can show you tonight." 7 o'clock, right here in this room, David said, pointing toward the space. "Bring everything. If you can't convince me, it will be your last day here." Anna simply nodded. David pressed his forehead against the cool wall after she left. The contract outside waited for his signature, but for the first time in his life, he hesitated. He returned to the meeting room, heart racing. All eyes turned toward him as he opened the door. Leandro, leaning over the table and speaking quietly with Javier, straightened immediately upon seeing him. "Did you handle what you needed?" Leandro asked, his smile failing to reach his eyes. "Yes," David replied, walking toward the table but not sitting. His gaze moved over the contract and then to the faces surrounding him. "Actually, I need to review a few clauses again." "Review?" Javier frowned. "Mr. Miller, we spent weeks going over every single detail." "That's exactly why I want one last look," David said, snapping the folder closed. "Let's reschedule for tomorrow." The room grew tense. Leandro rose slowly, fists pressing against the table. "David, this makes no sense. We're wasting precious time. Sterling has other interested parties." "Then let them wait," David replied coldly. "One night won't matter." "It will," Javier shouted, slamming his hand on the table. "The market's volatile. Stocks are rising. It's now or never." David observed their agitation. Anna had been right. This pressure wasn't normal. The decision was his alone. He placed the contract in his briefcase. "I'll see you tomorrow." Without another word, he left, leaving behind a group of angry men. Exactly at 7 o'clock, David entered the break room. Anna was already there, seated with a small backpack on her lap. She stood as he approached. "Thank you for coming," she said, voice steady. "Show me what you've got." David sat across from her at the round table. Anna opened her bag and retrieved her phone, hands trembling slightly as she scrolled through images. "It started 3 weeks ago," she explained, pausing for a deep breath. "I was cleaning Leandro's office when I overheard voices next door. I recognized one male voice and a woman. They were talking about you." David leaned forward. "Go on." "She's Sophia," Anna said. "Blonde, tall, always wearing designer clothes." She swiped to a blurry photo taken through a door crack. "This is her." David felt a cold shiver. Sofia Delgado, his ex-girlfriend who broke up with him 2 years ago, claiming they were too different, was involved. "She and Leandro are together now, and they're planning something against you," Anna continued, flipping to another photo. "Listen to this," she said, playing an audio clip. The sound was grainy, but the conversation was clear. "Once he signs, we'll have full control of the assets." "Are you sure?" Anna's voice was firm. "David suspects nothing," the recording continued. "He's always too naive to notice betrayal. Just like before, he won't see this coming. In 48 hours, we'll own his company." David ran a hand across his face, the city spinning beneath him. Leandro's voice, unmistakable, and Sophia's laugh, the one that once made his heart race, now sounded venomous. "Is there more?" he asked, voice rough. Anna nodded, flipping through more photos. Documents were strewn, hastily captured. The contracts had clauses that were completely different from what David had reviewed before. Bank transfers were going to accounts he didn't recognize. The original agreement had been altered. Anna pointed at one of the images. "See this section? In the version you have, it says you'll retain 60% control. But the actual contract, the one they'll use when you sign, leaves you with only 20%. David grabbed the phone and leaned closer. "This is fraud. Document manipulation. It's illegal." "And that's not even everything," Anna added, moving to the next image. "This $15 million transfer happened last week, from Sterling's account straight into Leandro's personal account." David stood and walked toward the window. Chicago glimmered beneath the night sky, but to him everything felt muted. "Why?" he whispered to himself. "Leandro's been my closest friend for 15 years. We went to college together, built everything from nothing." "Sometimes people change when money is involved," Anna said gently, putting her phone away. "Or maybe they were always like that, and you just didn't want to see it." David turned to her, still struggling to process it all. "Why are you telling me this? You could lose your job." Anna hesitated, then spoke firmly. Because it's the right thing to do. I can't stay silent and watch someone get betrayed like this. David studied her carefully. He sensed there was more she wasn't saying, but Anna clearly wasn't ready to reveal it. These pieces of evidence, how do I know they're real? He asked. I understand your doubt, Anna replied, tucking her phone away. But if you sign tomorrow, you'll lose everything. They've planned every move. David stayed silent, torn. Part of him wanted to reject it. Leandro felt like a brother. But the proof, it couldn't be ignored. I need more proof, he said finally. Absolute certainty. I can get it, Anna said, but it will be risky. Then be careful, David said, locking eyes with her. If this is true, if Leandro is really betraying me, his voice faltered, unable to finish the thought. We'll find out the truth, Anna said firmly. After she left, David remained alone, staring out the window. For the first time in 15 years, he questioned his friendship with Leandro, and that doubt was growing stronger with every passing moment. The next morning, David arrived at the office earlier than usual. He had spent the entire night replaying the evidence Anna had shown him. The images of the forged contracts haunted him, and Leandro's voice on that incriminating recording echoed in his mind. He needed answers. David went straight to human resources. I'd like to see Anna Santos's file, he requested. Martha, the HR officer, raised an eyebrow. The cleaning staff's file? Did something happen? Just a routine check. I need to confirm a few details, David said smoothly. Martha retrieved a thin folder and handed it to him. David opened it, eyes widening at the attached resume. Anna Santos, 28 years old, held a degree in business administration from Northwestern University, specializing in corporate finance. Her previous experience included business consulting at McKinsey & Company. McKinsey, David murmured, stunned. Excuse me. Martha leaned over, curious. Nothing, he replied quickly, closing the folder and returning it. As he left HR, his mind raced. Someone with Anna's background, McKinsey, one of the top consulting firms in the world, was working as a janitor? During lunch, David searched for Anna in the hallways. He eventually found her on the 12th floor, cleaning the windows in one of the offices. David spotted Anna in one of the smaller conference rooms. Anna, he called as he approached her. I need to talk. She turned, surprised. Did something happen? Did you learn more about Leandro? Actually, David said, crossing his arms, I found out something about you. Northwestern University, McKinsey & Company, corporate finance. Anna's face went pale. She dropped the cleaning cloth and drew a deep breath. You looked into my file. Why didn't you tell me who you really are? She glanced around, ensuring they were alone. Because it doesn't matter, she said bitterly. No matter my degrees or where I worked before, to everyone here, I'm just the Latina cleaning lady. But Mackenzie, that's impressive. How did you end up here? David asked. Anna cut him off. You want the truth? I worked at Mackenzie for 2 years. I was good, really good. But when promotions came around, there was always some excuse why I couldn't move up. David listened carefully, noting the hurt in her eyes. First, they said I lacked experience. Then my communication style didn't match the company culture. She gave a humorless laugh. Translation: I was too competent for my role but didn't look the part for leadership. That's discrimination. You could have filed a lawsuit, David said. With what money? She replied, picking up the water bucket. And who would believe a Latina against a company like Mackenzie? David remained silent, absorbing the injustice. And your family? You mentioned a sister. Maria is 22, Anna said softly. She was born with a congenital heart defect. We needed $200,000 for surgery. When I was let go from Mackenzie, when they asked me to resign, I had to take any job I could. That's why I'm here. Anna nodded toward her janitorial duties. The health plan here covers part of Maria's treatment. The pay isn't much, but it helps with her medication. I can't afford to be unemployed. David felt a tight ache in his chest. Here was a brilliant woman, educated at a top university, with experience at a prestigious firm, working as a janitor because of prejudice and family responsibilities. Anna, I had no idea, he said. Well, now you do, she replied, returning to cleaning the windows. That's why I spotted the forged documents immediately. Years of analyzing corporate contracts made those discrepancies obvious. That's also why I warned you about the betrayal. She paused and looked at him. Partly that, yes, but also because you're different from the other executives here. I've been watching you for months. You treat everyone with respect, regardless of their role. And when I saw they planned to ruin you the same way they ruined my career, I couldn't stay silent. Exactly, David said, holding her gaze for several long seconds. Anna Santos wasn't just a cleaning lady who had overheard something by chance. She was a highly skilled professional who recognized corporate fraud and decided to act, even at personal risk. Anna, when all this is over. David, Leandro's voice cut through the hallway. They both turned to see him approaching, curiosity on his face. What are you doing here? Just checking how the cleaning's going, David replied smoothly. You know how particular I am. Leandro glanced at Anna, who had resumed wiping the windows, pretending not to hear them. Since when do you personally care about the cleaning staff? Leandro asked, suspicion clear in his tone. I'm paying more attention to details, David said, forcing a smile. Speaking of which, did you reschedule the meeting with Sterling for this afternoon? Yes, 3 o'clock, David answered. Leandro's eyes lingered on Anna. I hope there won't be any more hesitation, he said. Of course not, David replied. He started toward the elevator. Let's grab lunch. I need to go over a few contract adjustments with you. David followed Leandro, but not before giving Anna one last wary glance. At the elevator, Leandro pressed the button and turned toward him. You've been acting strange since yesterday. Is there something I should know? David chose his words carefully. Just pre-negotiation nerves. You know how I get before big decisions. David, we've been friends for 15 years. We built this company together, Leandro said, placing a hand on his shoulder. If something's bothering you, you can tell me. David searched his best friend's eyes for any hint of deceit. But Leandro's expression was genuine. I'm fine, Carlos. I just want to ensure we're making the right moves. Of course we are, Leandro smiled. This merger will cement our position as market leaders. Trust me. The elevator doors opened, and they stepped inside. Yet as they descended, David's mind replayed Anna's words. Sometimes money changes people. And for the first time in 15 years, he questioned whether he truly knew Leandro. Later that afternoon, Anna was finishing the executive bathroom on the 15th floor. It was nearly 5 o'clock. Most employees had gone home. She frowned, hearing voices in the hallway. Through a slightly open door, she recognized Leandro's deep tone speaking to a woman. Her heart skipped a beat. It was Sophia. Are you sure? The woman snapped. Absolutely. I checked after seeing David talk to her yesterday, Leandro replied, moving closer. Anna Santos, 28, ex-Mackenzie, too smart for her own good. Anna pressed herself against the wall, holding her breath. They were talking about her. And do you think she heard us last week? Sophia asked, worried. I'm sure of it. Security cameras show she was cleaning my office while we finalized everything, Leandro said. And today, David acted differently, hesitated signing, asked more questions. Sophia's voice rose in panic. If David finds out about us, the money we moved. He won't, Leandro interrupted. We need to remove the cleaning lady before she causes more trouble. Anna covered her mouth, heart racing. They knew she had discovered their plan. How? Sophia asked, horrified. I'll accuse her of theft in front of everyone, Leandro said coldly. No one will believe a fired janitor over me. And if David tries to intervene, he's been my best friend 15 years. Even if he doubts me, he won't challenge me publicly over a cleaning lady. Leandro chuckled quietly. Anna closed her eyes, tears forming. She had risked everything to warn David, and now they were about to destroy her. When? Sophia asked. Now. Call her to the main auditorium. Announce an urgent safety meeting, Leandro replied. The footsteps faded. Anna stayed in the restroom a few moments, regaining her composure. Her hands trembled as she thought of Maria, her sick sister, relying on the job's health coverage. If fired, she would lose her salary and her sister's medical care. The intercom crackled. All employees report immediately to the main auditorium for an urgent safety meeting. Repeat, all employees to the main auditorium. Anna straightened, taking a deep breath. No matter what, she would not give Leandro the satisfaction of seeing her break. The auditorium was full. Employees whispered, curious about the sudden meeting. Anna entered from the back, keeping her head high, and stood near the wall. David sat in the front row, scanning the room. Their eyes met briefly, confusion in his expression, as if he didn't know the reason either. Leandro stepped on stage, holding a manila folder, his face grim. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," he began, voice echoing. "I must address a very serious matter regarding our company's security." A nervous murmur ran through the audience. "Yesterday, confidential documents were photographed and removed from executive offices," Leandro continued, pausing for effect. "This is not only a breach of contract but corporate espionage." Anna felt a chill. She knew exactly what was coming. "After investigation, we've identified the responsible party." Leandro's eyes locked on her. "Anna Santos from the cleaning staff. Please come forward." All eyes turned to Anna. She felt hundreds of stares, some curious, some already judging. Legs shaking, she walked to the stage, maintaining dignity despite the impending humiliation. "Miss Santos," Leandro said, cold and authoritative, "photos of confidential company documents were found on your phone. How do you explain this?" Anna looked toward David in the front row. He seemed caught between shock and confusion. She opened her mouth to speak, but Leandro interrupted. "Security footage also shows you entering executive offices outside your scheduled hours." He opened the folder, displaying printed photos from last week, passing them along the front row. David's face twisted at the images. Disappointment or disbelief, she couldn't tell. "Theft of intellectual property is a federal crime," Leandro continued, stepping closer. "However, given your previously clean record, we're offering termination for cause instead of legal action." "This isn't fair," Anna finally spoke. "I was trying to protect." "Protect what?" Leandro interrupted harshly. "Your own interests. Were you going to sell this information to competitors?" "No. I was protecting Mr. Miller from harm," she cried. Leandro slammed his fist on the podium. "I will not allow a dishonest employee to defame this company or its executives." Anna looked at David, pleading silently for him to speak. But he remained motionless, his face unreadable. "Security, escort Miss Santos out," Leandro commanded. Guards approached. "I can walk on my own," Anna said, voice steady despite tears streaming down her face. As she was led out, she turned toward David one last time. "When you learn the truth," she said loud enough for everyone to hear, "remember, you had the chance to do the right thing today, and you chose not to." David closed his eyes, her words striking him like blows. Anna was escorted out, the crowd watching, some sympathetic, some relieved. On the sidewalk, a guard handed her a small box with her belongings. "Miss Santos," the older guard said, clearly uncomfortable. "Orders are orders." Anna nodded, took the box, and began walking toward the subway. Each step felt heavy, weighed down by humiliation and betrayal. But heavier still was the knowledge that David was walking straight into a trap, and now she had no way to warn him. Back in the auditorium, David stayed seated long after the other employees had left. Leandro came over, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I know this is tough, David. She seemed like a good employee," he said, feigning sympathy. "But sometimes people disappoint us." David studied his friend, searching for deceit. Yet Leandro's concern appeared genuine. "The evidence was clear," David murmured, mostly to himself. "Yes, it was," Leandro agreed. "But now we can focus on what truly matters, the Sterling merger. Our company is about to become an empire. Disloyal employees won't stand in our way." David nodded slowly, Yet a small, insistent part of him couldn't forget the desperation in Anna's voice when she had called his name. "Shall we reschedule the signing for tomorrow morning?" Leandro asked. "First thing," David said, standing, still processing everything. As he left the auditorium, a nagging feeling told him he might have just made the biggest mistake of his life. Meanwhile, somewhere in Chicago, Anna Santos walked the streets, carrying her few belongings and a broken heart, still determined to find a way to save the man who hadn't saved her. David couldn't sleep that night. The image of Anna being escorted out haunted him, the desperation in her voice, the way she pleaded for him to act, and his own silence. By 3 a.m., he gave up trying to rest. He dressed quickly and drove to the office. The building was empty, patrolled only by night guards. Using his CEO access card, he took the executive elevator to his floor. Something about Leandro's accusations didn't add up. Anna had displayed deep knowledge of corporate contracts, spotting discrepancies only someone experienced in finance would notice. Why would she risk everything to sell secrets, and why would she warn him of a betrayal if she were involved in espionage? David entered his office and turned on his computer. He decided to investigate personally, reviewing every Sterling merger file, contracts, spreadsheets, attached documents. At first glance, everything seemed normal. But Anna had warned him about hidden clauses. Finding them would be tricky. 3 hours later, he discovered the first irregularity. Page 47 of the main contract referenced Addendum C, which he had never seen. It supposedly contained technical specifications and post-merger asset distribution. But when he searched the digital folder, it was missing. Curious, David accessed the company's main server, using his CEO credentials to explore the most protected files. In an encrypted folder he'd never noticed before, he found it, Addendum C, Post-Merger Asset Distribution. Reading it, his blood ran cold. The document revealed that after the merger, 80% of Miller Technologies' assets would be transferred to a subsidiary called Sterling International Holdings. David had never heard of this company. Further investigation showed it was registered in the Cayman Islands, with only 2 main shareholders, Leandro Vega and Sofia Delgado. "This can't be," David murmured, rereading the document multiple times. But it was all there, hidden in complex legal language. The plan was cruelly clever. He would think he retained majority control, while handing almost everything to a shell company secretly controlled by his best friend and ex-girlfriend. David printed the document and kept digging. Using his CEO credentials, he accessed the company's banking records. What he found confirmed his worst fears. Over the past 2 months, several so-called merger preparation transfers had been made, totaling $23 million. The money supposedly went to Sterling Corporation accounts, but the account numbers didn't match those in the original contract. Tracing the funds through the corporate banking system, David discovered where the money really went. $23 million had been sent to a personal account under the name L. Vega, Leandro Vega. 15 years of friendship, David whispered, his stomach dropping as if punched. But there was more. He found emails between Leandro and Sterling executives that had never been copied to him. The messages revealed the merger was actually a hostile takeover disguised as a routine deal. Sterling Corporation wasn't even a legitimate company. The company wasn't active at all. It was just a facade, a front Leandro and Sofia had constructed to carry out their scheme. One email, dated 3 weeks prior, had Leandro writing, "David is completely naive. 15 years of friendship have blinded him to betrayal. By the time he realizes, we'll already control all the assets and be long gone." Sofia had been right. David was predictable. David's hands shook as he held the mouse, unable to continue reading. The man who had been his best friend, stood by him at weddings, mourned with him at funerals, and built the company alongside him, was plotting his ruin. As he dug deeper, the plan became even more twisted. After signing, David would be forced to step down under the guise of a financial emergency, while Leandro would seize control. Then, the real assets would be transferred to Sterling International Holdings, leaving David with nothing but debt and responsibility. The scheme was so meticulously designed that David felt both disgust and a grim respect. Leandro had spent months, maybe years, perfecting every step. He even uncovered recorded calls stored by the company. One, 2 weeks old, was between Leandro and Sofia. "Leandro, are you sure David won't suspect anything?" "Sofia, Leandro, I dated him for 2 years. I know all his weaknesses. He trusts people too easily. It's his strength and his flaw. Leandro, what if he finds out before signing? Sophia, he won't. But if he does, we have forged documents. We can claim he attempted fraud himself. My word against his. Leandro, you really despise him that much? Sophia, it's not hate, it's ambition. David was a good boyfriend, but limited. With you, I can achieve everything I've ever wanted. David paused the recording, nausea rising. Sophia had ended things, claiming they wanted different lives, but the truth was she was after power and willing to cross any line. By 6 a.m., David had enough evidence to put both of them in prison. But another, deeper truth hit him. Ana Santos had tried to save him, and he had done nothing. He remembered her words. When you find out the truth, remember, you had a chance to do the right thing today, and you chose not to. She had been right. Completely right. Now he had to fix his mistake. But first, he had to make sure Leandro and Sophia didn't know he had discovered the truth. The signing meeting was at 9 a.m., just 3 hours away. David copied all files to a flash drive and emailed them to himself from 3 different accounts. Then he cleared his browser history and shut down his computer. His phone rang. It was Leandro. "David, I'm glad you picked up," Leandro said, sounding falsely concerned. "I couldn't sleep after what happened with the cleaning lady yesterday. I know it shook you." "I'm okay," David said, keeping his voice steady. "It was tough, but the evidence was clear. I'm glad you understand. Ready for today's meeting? Our big moment has finally arrived." "Of course. 9 a.m., right?" "Yes." "I want you to know that no matter what happens in business, our friendship matters most." David closed his eyes, feeling the sting of that hypocritical statement. "To me too, Leandro. To me too." When the call ended, David knew what he had to do, not just save the company, but also honor the woman who risked everything to protect him. Ana Santos had tried to save him. Now it was his turn to save her. But first, he had to find her. Using HR records, he located Ana's address, 847 Lincoln Street, apartment 2B, in Pilsen, a poor Latino neighborhood on Chicago's South Side. He had never been to Pilsen before. Driving through narrow streets, he noticed old brick buildings with rusty fire escapes, small shops with Spanish signs, and children playing on cracked sidewalks. It was a world far removed from the skyscrapers of the financial district. He parked in front of a worn 3-story building and climbed the creaky stairs to the 2nd floor. Taking a deep breath, he knocked on apartment 2B. Shuffling footsteps approached, and the door opened slightly, secured by a chain. Ana's face appeared, her eyes swollen from crying. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice icy. "Ana, I need to talk to you. I found out the truth about Leandro and Sophia." "Oh, you just found out," she said bitterly, laughing. "How convenient. After humiliating me in front of 200 people. "Please, let me explain," he said. "There's nothing to explain." She started to close the door, but David stopped it with his hand. "Ana, you were right about everything. I have the proof, the contract, the bank transfers, the shell company, everything." She hesitated, still keeping the door barely open. "And what now? You already fired me. Ruined my reputation. I have nothing left." "No, you do. I can clear your name." "I will, Ana." A weak voice called from inside. "Who is it?" Ana sighed, glancing at David. "It's my sister. She's not well. 5 minutes. I just want to apologize properly." Ana paused, then removed the chain and opened the door. The apartment was small but clean and orderly. Family photos showed Ana and a younger woman in happier times. "Maria," Ana said softly, "we have a visitor." Her sister, about 22, entered, pale and moving slowly as if every step took effort. "Hi," Maria said faintly. "You must be Ana's boss." David felt a pang in his chest. Ana had lost her job but hadn't told her sister. "Former boss," Ana corrected quickly. "Maria, this is David Miller," she said. Maria extended a frail hand, and David shook it gently. "Ana talks about you a lot," Maria said, smiling weakly. "She says you're different, more human than other bosses. David looked at Anna, who turned away, embarrassed. "Maria, you should rest," Anna suggested. "The doctor said you need to conserve your strength." "All right," Maria replied, heading slowly down the hall but stopping to say, "It was nice meeting you, Mr. Miller. Please take care of my sister." "She's the bravest person I know," David said softly. After Maria left the room, he turned to Anna. "Why didn't you tell me how serious her condition is?" "I told you she needed surgery," Anna replied, sinking onto the worn couch. "What kind of surgery?" Anna hesitated. "A heart valve transplant. Maria was born with a congenital defect. Her current valve is failing. Without it..." Her voice broke. "Doctors say she might have 6 months." David felt like the wind had been knocked out of him. She had been shouldering this alone, working as a janitor to keep her sister's insurance, and he had fired her at the worst possible time. "How much does the surgery cost?" $200,000, Anna whispered. "The company health plan covers 60%. I was saving for the rest, doing extra work on weekends." "Anna, I can pay." "No," she snapped, standing abruptly. "I don't want your pity or charity." "It's not pity. It's responsibility," David said firmly. "I made a terrible mistake yesterday," he continued, standing as well. "I treated you unfairly." "You didn't treat me unfairly," Anna said, pain in her voice. "You betrayed me. You knew who I was. You knew I was trying to help you, and you stayed silent. While Leandro humiliated me, I was torn between your best friend and a janitor." She cut him off. "And you chose your best friend." Even knowing she was right, David ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. "You're right. Completely right. I was cowardly and selfish. But now I know the truth, and I want to make things right." "Some things can't be made right," Anna said, moving to the window. "I lost my job, my reputation, and, most importantly, Maria's health coverage. All because I tried to do the right thing. Let me help. Please," David pleaded. "Why?" she asked, turning to face him. "Because you feel guilty. Because you want to ease your conscience. Because you're the bravest person I've ever met." His words surprised even him, full of sincerity. "You risked everything to save me from betrayal. And I abandoned you when you needed me most." Anna studied him for a long moment. "Maria needs the surgery in 2 weeks. Without insurance, I'll have to pay myself. I don't have the money." "I'll pay today," David said. "And in return, nothing." Anna shook her head. "Absolutely nothing. It's the least I can do." Anna gave a bitter, humorless laugh. "The least you can do is leave my house and my life. I don't trust you anymore. You had the chance to show who you really are, and you didn't." "Anna, please." "I'll leave." She walked to the door. "Maria needs rest, and I need to find another job." David hesitated. "This isn't over. I'm going to expose Leandro and Sophia. I'll clear your name." "Do whatever you want," she said without looking at him. "But do it without me." As he left, David heard the door close and lock behind him. Outside, sitting in his BMW, he gazed at the modest building where Anna and Maria struggled. He had uncovered Leandro's betrayal, but he had lost something far more valuable, Anna's trust. Over the next 3 days, David couldn't stop thinking about Anna and Maria. He postponed the merger with Sterling Corporation, citing the need for legal reviews. Leandro became increasingly pushy, but David managed to buy time. Quietly, he searched for ways to help the Santos sisters without Anna finding out. He couldn't simply hand her a check. She would never accept it. By Wednesday morning, he had an idea. David called Northwestern Memorial Hospital and spoke with Dr. Rodriguez, Maria's cardiologist. "Dr. Rodriguez, my name is David Miller. I'd like to discuss Maria Santos' case." "I'm sorry, sir, but I can't share patient information with unauthorized individuals," the doctor replied. "I understand. I'm not asking for medical details. I want to make an anonymous donation to cover her surgery. $200,000. I'd like the family to think it came from a scholarship or social support program, something that wouldn't raise suspicion." There was a pause. Mr. Miller, that's extremely generous. May I ask your relationship to the patient? Let's just say I owe the Santos family a great deal. Is it possible to do this without revealing your name? Yes, we have an anonymous donor program. If the funds are in place, we can schedule surgery next week. They will be, David promised. On Thursday afternoon, Anna received a call that changed everything. Miss Santos, this is Dr. Rodriguez. I have wonderful news about Maria. Her heart raced. Is she okay? She's stable, but there's more. We've been approved for a federal medical aid program for severe heart cases. Her surgery will be fully covered. Anna almost dropped the phone. What do you mean? Sometimes hospitals automatically apply for eligible patients. What matters is we can schedule surgery for next Tuesday. Tears streamed down her face. She ran to Maria's room. Maria, the surgery is completely covered. Maria opened her drowsy eyes. What do you mean? A government program. Everything is paid for. You're going to be okay, Maria. Completely okay. David later confirmed the donation had gone through. When Dr. Rodriguez called to confirm the surgery, David felt a satisfaction he hadn't experienced in years, the feeling of truly doing good without expecting anything in return. But regaining Anna's trust would require a different kind of plan. On Friday night, walking through Millennium Park, an idea struck him. Anna had mentioned working extra jobs on weekends to save money. Maybe she was still at it. All day Saturday, David searched for her. Cafes, restaurants, offices, until, at 5 p.m., he spotted her. Anna was cleaning the windows of a small accounting office on North Michigan Avenue. Even in simple clothes with her hair in a ponytail, she carried herself with a quiet dignity that left David in awe. He waited across the street until she finished. Anna, he approached cautiously. She turned, startled and clearly annoyed. Are you following me now? No. I mean, yes, but not like that, he stumbled. I heard about Maria's surgery, that it was approved by a government program. Anna eyed him suspiciously. So what? I'm happy for her. Truly happy. She started walking toward the subway station. Anna, can I talk to you? Just 5 minutes. About what? About how awful I feel about what happened. About how you were right about everything. About how I want to make things right this time. Anna stopped and faced him. David, I understand you feel guilty, but that doesn't prove anything illegal, David said, trying to steady his voice. It proves abuse of power. Leandro leaned back, a smirk curling on his lips. Exactly. You went behind my back. You acted like a vigilante in your own company. And now you think you can play hero. David, you're in over your head. Sophia's cold laugh filled the room. You really thought I wouldn't find out about you sneaking around, David? About your little weekend adventures. David squared his shoulders, his mind racing. He had been cornered, but this wasn't the first time he'd faced a challenge. And this time, he wasn't alone. Leandro's phone buzzed again, and he glanced at it, distracted. David's eyes flicked to the screen and saw a tiny, almost imperceptible notification from his own secure email, one of the copies of the evidence he had sent himself. The plan wasn't entirely in Leandro's hands. You know what's funny? David said, finally letting a trace of calm authority slip into his voice. All your threats, all your little schemes, none of it matters if I show the board exactly what you've been up to. Leandro froze, just slightly. Sophia's confident smirk faltered for a heartbeat. David continued, You underestimated Anna Santos. You underestimated the truth. And you underestimated me. Leandro's fingers tightened around his phone. You think a few documents and a cleaning lady can stop me? David shook his head slowly. It's not a cleaning lady. It's the most intelligent, courageous person I've ever met. And she has everything to do with why I'm standing here, unafraid. Sophia's eyes narrowed. You really think you can play games with us? David pulled a folder from his briefcase, placing it on the desk. This isn't a game. It's evidence. Wire transfers, shell companies, forged contracts, emails, everything you and Sophia planned to steal from me and the company." Leandro's smirk turned into a scowl. "Where did you get that?" "From the people you thought you controlled. From Anna, from the systems you thought were safe." David's tone was low, sharp, unyielding. "And from me." Sophia leaned back, suddenly uneasy. You don't know what you're doing." David's eyes locked on hers. "No, Sophia. You don't know what I'm capable of, because you never considered the people who actually care about what's right." Leandro's jaw tightened. "If you use that against us—" "You leave me no choice," David interrupted, standing taller. "Board meeting this afternoon. The evidence goes public. And after that, justice is not just an idea, it's reality." Sophia glanced at Leandro, panic flickering across her face. "Leandro!" David leaned forward, voice calm but deadly. "You had 15 years to betray me. I won't let one day of cowardice take everything from me. And you won't hurt anyone else in the process, especially Anna and her sister." Leandro slammed his palm on the desk. "You think you can walk into that meeting and humiliate me?" David smiled, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. "I don't think. I know." Sophia's face turned pale. Leandro's smirk was gone, replaced by something more dangerous, desperation. David straightened, taking a deep breath. "And if you touch Anna, if you try to threaten her again, I'll make sure the world sees exactly who you really are. You've had your fun. Now it's time to pay the price for your ambition and betrayal." He turned, walking toward the door, leaving Leandro and Sophia staring after him, unprepared for the storm that was coming. Outside the office, David's phone buzzed. A message from Anna. "I'm on my way. Let's finish this, together." A small, satisfied smile tugged at his lips. For the first time in weeks, he felt ready. Not just to save the company, but to do what was right, and to finally honor the courage of the woman who had risked everything for him. David stepped forward, placing a hand gently on Anna's shoulder. "You were right. Brave enough to speak the truth, even when it could have cost you everything." Anna shook her head, her lips curling in a small smile. "I just did what had to be done." Detective Johnson read the charges again, firm and unwavering. "Leandro Vega and Sofia Delgado, you are charged with corporate fraud, document forgery, wire fraud, and attempted extortion. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court." Leandro tried to speak, but his voice faltered. Sophia's eyes darted around the room, realizing every executive, every board member, and even Sterling Corporation representatives were witnesses to their complete downfall. David turned to the board and executives. This company was built on trust, integrity, and hard work. And today, thanks to Anna, we're reclaiming those values. Miller Technologies will continue, stronger, transparent, and united. The room erupted in applause, and Anna felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had taken the risk, and justice had been served. David pulled her slightly aside. "I couldn't have done this without you." Anna looked at him, her eyes warm but resolute. "You could have, David. But I'm glad you let me in." He smiled, softly. "How would you feel about coming back to the company?" Anna raised an eyebrow. "Vice President?" "Exactly," David said. "Your knowledge, integrity, and courage are exactly what we need." Anna laughed, a light, genuine sound. "You're lucky I like a challenge." David chuckled, the weight of the last few days finally lifting. "And I'm lucky to have you. For everything." As Leandro and Sophia were led away in handcuffs, the board members began discussing the future with renewed energy and trust. Outside, the Chicago sun broke through the clouds, spilling golden light over Millennium Park. David and Anna stepped out of the building together, the city buzzing around them, but in that moment, it felt like their own world. David reached for her hand, and she didn't pull away. "Ready for the next challenge?" he asked. "Always," Anna replied, her voice steady, full of hope and determination. And as they walked down the street, side by side, they both knew that while the fight had been hard, the victory, and the trust they had rebuilt, was worth everything. The city moved around them, busy and unyielding, but for David and Anna, the future had never looked brighter. "Wow, That's one roller coaster of a story. From corporate betrayal and near ruin to love, courage, and triumph, it hits all the emotional beats. Anna and David's arc is satisfying because it's not just a boy meets girl story. It's about trust, integrity, and redemption. I love how Anna goes from underdog to VP, proving brains, bravery, and heart matter more than titles. And David's growth, from guilt-ridden CEO to a man worthy of love, is believable and heartfelt. The finale is cinematic: proposal on the beach, wedding in the conservatory, the pregnancy reveal. It's classic, sweeping romance meets inspirational drama. It leaves the audience cheering while showing that standing up for what's right pays off. On a scale of 0 to 10, I'd give it a solid 9. The only thing that could push it to a 10 would be adding a few more subtle moments of character introspection throughout, so the audience feels every step of their emotional journey just a bit deeper.